All right, next up under the tool menu, we're going to take a look at the batch converter. A really powerful tool. I use it a lot, especially when I've got a whole bunch of files that I need to apply some specific effects and filters to and get them all ready, let's say, to be burned to CD, for example. Really helpful and kind of one of those things where once you set it up and work with it a little bit, you'll kind of say, how did I ever live without it? Let's take a look. Okay, so we're here in SoundForge. We've got a few test files open. And we're going to go up here to the Tools menu, and we're going to go to the Batch Converter. Now, Batch Converter basically is going to allow us to take our open files, because it automatically scans for whatever's open. We could add more files to this if we wanted to. So if we wanted to add a file that wasn't open, we could go find something else that we wanted to. But in this case, I'm just going to go with the three that I've got. I could even add an entire folder. So if I had a whole bunch of files that I had already pre-processed and had ready to go, and they were in a specific folder, I could add that whole folder as I want if I wanted to as well. So again, it's you can open up a new batch, open up a whole new folder. You can save your info, save as. There's a help and then an about. So that's the info up at the top here. Here on the files to convert, obviously you can, if you want to get rid of one, you can, just highlight it and hit remove. So you've got that control there. Next tab over is metadata, and you can add in whatever information you want to on the particular song, or a global amount of information that you want to apply to all of the files that you're going to process. Now, the interesting thing here is that you have the ability to overwrite. So if there is a file that you're working on here in terms of the batch converter that already has metadata on it or in it, then you can go ahead and choose to overwrite it or, be appended to. So you have some choices there. Process basically is talking about what do you want to do to it. Well, I want to, I know that for these files, for example, I know that I want to do a DC offset, so I'm going to add that effect in, and then it brings up the DC offset menu. I can choose, what I want to do. I want to scan the entire file, automatically detect and remove, and say OK. So now it throws the DC offset in there. Well, what else do I want to do? Well, I know that I want to, in this case, I want to normalize the file once I do the DC offset. So I'm going to say, OK, let's add in that. What am I going to normalize them to? Well, it's music, so I'm going to normalize them to music levels with an average RMS. You go through the controls and getting everything set the way you want to do it in, with the control you want. Now, what you notice here is you don't have the preview and some of the other things that you get when you're, if you want to change the preset, you can go back here and you can change it and you can look at it again, but you don't necessarily get everything that you normally would get if you're working with the actual waveform. And then let's add, some reverb, add effect. Yeah, what do I want to do here? I'm going to do a indoor Olympic-sized pool. Okay, there we go. So those are the three presets I'm going to add to my songs. I can choose which order they're applied in by moving it up, or moving it down. Normally, I would probably put normalize last, so I will do the DC offset, then apply the reverb, and then normalize last. I can choose to save the options, change the save options, or remove it. And I can also then view the status once it's underway. So I've got my files to convert. I've got my process. These are kind of the two most important tabs to really pay attention to. And then once I'm ready to go, it's literally a case of hitting run job and, where I want to save it to. Obviously, in this case, I'm going to add a save option. The file format is going to be the same as the source. I don't want to change anything there. File names can be the same as the source, or I can append to the name. And the file folder, save files to, same as source, or do I want to browse? In this case, I'm going to browse someplace else. I'm going to go out here to my desktop. And where do I want to go? I'm going to go into my HA music, and I'm just going to save them at the top level of that rather than inside the WAV file. Say, OK, I could make a new folder if I wanted to, and preserve source subfolders if there were some. So I'll say OK to that. And I could change that if I want to, come back up here and change it or remove it, and then see the status here. So I think I've got everything set and don't want to really add any metadata at this time. And I'm going to go ahead and run job. So there it is. It's going through and it's scanning all this. It's scanning that file and it's showing what it's doing. It gives me the status. And literally that quick, I was able to run all those filters, process all that audio, and run it on all those files, and gives me a status that the job is complete. Very, very cool, very powerful tool to be able to use, especially when you've got a whole bunch of files that you need to process and you need to apply specific stuff to. And, sometimes you have to go through, look at the individual effect, look at the individual filter, figure out exactly what settings and how you want to have it set or what preset you're going to use, and get all that stuff organized and ready to go, maybe even make some notes. Then come in here, apply all that stuff, and then go ahead and run the batch converter, and away you go. And you saw how quickly it went on those files. They were pretty small, but nonetheless, it's a pretty cool and powerful tool.